Today I'm going to show you how you can create this scene from scratch to finish, and I'm going to show you every step from modeling, texturing, and also lighting and rendering. And if you don't want to go through the process of creating the scene and only want the project file, you can buy it on my Patreon, and also you can become a member. So without further waiting, let's go to the tutorial. So the first step is going to be using Pinterest to find some kind of inspiration. And as you can see, we have a lot of images that are really good looking. Just select the one that you want, but I've already selected the image that I'm going to use, which is from Lavrov. As you can see, the scene is really good looking. I'm just going to replicate the mood, but I'm going to give it some kind of story. And to do that, the first step is going to be matching up the perspective from this scene. And to do that, we're going to use a free software called Fspy, which you'll find the link in the description below. You can install it. And then after you have installed it, open the software like this. And then you'll find something like this. And then after this, go to File. And then click this Open Image. And then select the image that you have downloaded. I'm going to select this one. I will place the link of this image in the description below so that you can follow along. Then I'm going to click Open. You'll find something like this. I think you're familiar with Fspy. It's just a tool that you can use to match up, the camera angle from which the scene is shot. As you can see, we have some kind of green two lines and red two lines. As you can see, the red are the X and the green ones are the Y. Since everything have X, Y, and Z axis, what you can do is just match up the perspective of one of the two axes. You can change, the axis right here. For the first one, I'm going to use Y, and for the second one, I'm going to use X. Maybe minus Y. As you can see, when I do that, the axis is going to flip, as you have seen. So just let me match up the perspective. Let me select this like this, and you can use the chair as the guide. And to see the image clearly, what you can do is just deselect this dim image. When you do that, you can see the image more clearly. So I'm just going to use the chair as the guide, since the chair is a straight line created using straight woods. And also I'm going to place the X somewhere around here, something like this. Final result after I have tweaked it so that I will have a better result. And the last thing that I did was try to give it a reference distance. And to do that, you can use the axis which you are going to place the reference distance. In my case, I choose the Y axis. And also I have changed the first one to be the Y axis and the second one to be the X axis so that it will be similar as of the Blender. And then after that, what you can do is just, place the reference distance inside the image. And to do that, it will give you something like this. So I'm going to place this one right about here and place this one right about here. Since the distance from right about here to right about here is about 0.1 meters because it's a bench and we can guess the dimensions. And what I can do is just go to File and click Save. After you have done that, what you can do is go to inside Blender, just delete everything since you're not going to need it. And then go to File, go to Import, and you will see this Fspy. But make sure that you have installed the add-on which is going to help us import the Fspy file that we have saved. So just click this Fspy, go to the folder which you have saved the Fspy thing that you have done. So just mine is right here. I'm just going to select this and I'm going to click import Fspy project. When I do that, I will see something like this. So if I go to this camera properties, as you can see, I have my field of view, or my in millimeters, my focal lengths, in the shift X, the shift Y. This is pretty much the setting that we're going to need. So after this, if I'm trying to check whether I have done this correctly, I'm going to press Shift A and then click this mesh. I'm going to add a plane and I'm going to press S to scale it. And to see things correctly or clearly, I'm just going to enable this wireframe mode. And then I'm going to press N to see the property of this plane. As you can see, we have the dimensions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it 0.1 since we have made the bench 0.1. So if I press GY and move it, something like this, as you can see, we have got the perspective correctly. And I can go to inside of the edit mode. I can press GX and move it like this. GX, as you can see. And then press Shift D, Y. I'm going to duplicate it, something like this. Yeah, and then again Shift D and then Y. Yeah, I think something like this. I can manage them separately, since this is going to be useful for later. You can use Alt 3, but I want the three of them to have different object properties for the things that we're going to do later. So just press GX and just and then also select this one, press GX. Just do everything that's going to be visible inside of the camera view. And also I can press Shift D and then Y again and place it something like this. Then go inside of the edit mode and then press GY, and then I think something like this will be good. And then press Shift D and then Y, and I'm going to place this one right about here. I think this is looking good. So guys, this is how you can match up the perspective. So let's just finish the modeling part. It's really simple. Hold on Shift to select multiple objects and click the objects that you want to select. After you have done that, hit tab to get inside of the edit mode, and then press A to select everything, and then press E to extrude it. Something like this will be good. And then hit tab to get outside of the edit mode. The next step is going to be adding a bevel towards the bench. And to see the bench clearly, what you can do is just go to this solid preview like this, and then go to this modifier properties and click this add modifier, and go to this generate, and then click this bevel, and we have this bevel. In order to apply this modifier correctly, what you can do is just press Ctrl A and then click this apply scale. As you can see now, it's being applied correctly. So I'm going to decrease the amount like this. I think something like this will be good, and I'm going to increase the segments to 6 so that we'll have more geometry. As you can see, the modifier is only applied to this active object, and to apply this to the other objects, what you can do is just press Ctrl L and select this copy modifiers. When you do that, the modifier is being applied on all of the objects. But if I zoom in, as you can see, I can see the geometry. And to fix that, what you can do is just right click and select the shade auto smooth. So when you do that, the shading is corrected. And then next, let us create the handle that you have seen. If I go to this wireframe mode, I can see the handle. And to do that, let me go to the solid view, shift right click right about here, and then press Shift A, and then go to the circle. I'm going to add a circle, and we have this property right here. I'm going to change the vertices to 100 so that we'll have more resolution. And then after this, I'm going to press RY and then 90 degree like this, and then I'm going to press S to scale it like this. I think this is going to be good. And maybe let me go to the solid view, wireframe view, and then press G, I think, to move it right about here. I think this is good. And then after I have done that, what I'm going to do is go to object and then convert, and I'm going to convert this one to curve. And then after this, go to object data properties for the curve, which you will find right here. Click it, it's already selected, and click this geometry, and in the bevel, and increase the depth. As you can see, when I do that, I can give it a thickness. I think something right about here is going to be good. After we have finished, go to object, convert this one to back to mesh. And then if I go to solid preview, you will see something like this. So the next process is going to be importing pre-modeled assets. And to do that, I have used free website. The first one is polyheaven.com. As you can see, this is the camera. Just make sure that you have downloaded the 4K or the 8K version. It's a Blender file. So all you have to do is just copy and paste it towards your project file. And the second website is 3D Warehouse, which you will find free models. So the bag and the book, the glass, everything else is from here. Just download them. We are going to use SketchUp importer to import the SketchUp files that you have downloaded. Make sure that you have installed this add-on. Then after you just open a new blend file, just delete everything, and then go to file and then import and select this SKP. And then after this, I'm going to go to my downloads like this. The first one is going to be the bag. So I'm just going to drag this one and drop it right about here like this. And then after this, I'm going to disable this one. And I'm going to select this import escape. So press Alt H to unhide any empties, as you can see. Then press A, select everything, select Alt P, and then select this clear and keep transformation. So when you do that, you're going to clear any parenting. So just select this empties, click X and delete it. Then after you have done that, just select everything like this, click join. As when I do that, everything is joined. And then press Ctrl C like this and go to this file. Click shift right click so that we can place the cursor right about where we clicked, and then press Ctrl V to paste it, and maybe press RZ to rotate it like this, and then place it wherever it's necessary. I think this is good. So by using this process, just import everything and then join them and then place them where they need to be. So guys, this is the final result that I have got. It's looking good. And also I have added some kind of metal support at the bottom. You can also do that. And the next process is going to be texturing. And to do that, we are going to use a free add-on called EasyPBR, which you'll find the link in the description below. So let us start from the bench. So I'm going to select one of the wood, select it. And let's go to material preview so that we can see what we are working on. So this is what we have got so far. So let's start from the bench, and I'm going to select one of the wood, select it, and let's go to the shader editor so that we can see what we're working on. And then in order to see this EasyPBR, what you have to do is just change this render engine to cycles. When you do that, you will see it right about here. And then what you can do is just it's going to look like something like this. You can go to this online, you can see a bunch of woods. And also you can click this right here and you can see a bunch of materials. But for this case, I have already selected this wood, and you can go to this local in order to see what you have downloaded. In order to download it, what you can do is just select any of the things. For example, just if I want to download this one, click it. And then after I have clicked it, what I can do is just click this download, and it will give me different options like this. Just select the resolutions that you want and then click this OK. It's going to download it for you. Then after you have done that, what you are going to do is just click this plus, and you'll see option like this. Click the resolution that you want. For this case, I have used 1K PNG, and click OK. When I do that, it's going to import the material. To see that, just go to this material properties. You'll see something like this. Just click this minus so that you can delete the first one. Now, as you can see, the material is already applied. So in order to UV unwrap this one correctly, what you can do is just key tab to get inside of the edit mode, press A, and then you select this smart UV project and click this unwrap. And then after this, what you can do is just go to this UV editor, press R, and then click this 90 degree. When I do that, I have something like this. And then let's go back to this shader editor. As you can see, the scale is a little bit big. So to do that, you have an option called the scale, and then press Shift A, and then go to this, click this value, and then plug the value right here, and you can control the value simply like this. And then after this, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to need this normal map. I'm going to use this displacement in order to create a bump. So just delete this one. And for the scale of the displacement, since this is too much, I'm going to use 0.005, just a little bit of the bump. The next process is going to be manipulating the diffuse color so that it's going to look like a paint. So to do that, the first thing is going to be, let's add a hue saturation node, and I'm going to change the value to 0.17, something dark. And also I'm going to add an RGB curve. And then I'm going to make the curve something like this. As you can see, it's getting darker, and also make it something like this. I think this is good. So this is going to be the paint that you have seen on the render. And then after this, I'm going to create some kind of imperfection. So to do that, I'm going to use a vertex paint mode. But first, let me add a mix color. I'm going to mix this one like this. And for the second one, what I'm going to do is select this one and then press Shift 3 to duplicate it. And then plug this one right here. And for the factor, I'm going to use 0.75, something like this. I don't want this to be darker. And I'm going to plug this one on the B1. So if I, for example, drag this one like this, as you can see, we're going to see the wood. And if I make this one to 0, we're going to see the paint. So I'm going to create some kind of mask so that some part of it's going to be the wood and some part of it's going to be the paint. So you get the point. And to do that, as I have said, I'm going to use a vertex paint mode. So to do that first, the geometry needs to have sufficient vertices. In order to do that, just hit tab to get inside of the edit mode. It's going to be something like this. Press Ctrl R to create edge loops and drag your middle mouse upward to create more segments. I think 2 is going to be good, like this. And for the horizontal part, I'm going to press Ctrl R and drag my middle mouse upward until I find a square, I think. As you can see, I have some kind of square. Then after I have done that, press 8, select everything, and then right click and then click subdivide. And then you can increase the number of cuts. I think for this case, maybe 6 I think maybe 8 is going to be good. After I have done that, get outside of the edit mode and let's go to the camera view again. And let me drag this one upward like this. And then let me go to this vertex paint. And then after I have done that, as you can see, I have something like this. I'm just going to delete it. In your case, it might say another name. I'm going to hit plus, just name it removed paint. And then I'm going to click add. So if I change, if I press X, as you can see, you can change the foreground and the background color. So we're going to need the white part. And we have the strings and the radius. We can decrease the radius like this. And if I paint it, we're not going to see anything. In order to see what we have painted, what we need to do is go to this solid preview. When I do that, I can see what I'm painting. So for example, as you can see, I've painted this one like this. Let's just try something. By the way, this is a method that I have learned from Blender Guru. It's a great YouTube channel to learn. So for example, after I have done this, what I'm going to do is if I go to this render preview again, we're not going to see anything. The reason for that is, let me show you. We need to add this vertex paint into this node. So to do that, press Shift A and then go to this input and go to this attributes, and you are going to see this removed paint. So I'm going to plug the factor to the factor like this. As you can see, when I do that, the one that I have painted is going to display the one without the paint. So I can just, play this one like this. As you can see, I can go outside of my camera view and maybe go to this object mode. I can click hide to hide everything like this so that I can work correctly like this. Maybe hide this one also. Select this one, go to this vertex paint again. I can paint it like this. And also if you want to remove it, what you can do is just press X. It will change this to the black, the background one. And yeah, as you can see, I can remove it like this. And also I can decrease the strings so that, as you can see, I can paint some kind of, really weak paint. As you can see, you can use something like this. But the result that you have got is not that much good. I'm going to mix this one with some kind of texture. So for this case, I'm going to mix this one with the displacement. The reason for that is the displacement texture is first black and white, and it's going to be good for this case. So just I'm going to duplicate this one like this and plug the displacement towards the second one. And then after this, if I change the factor like this, as you can see, if I make it to 1, we're going to see the displacement. If I make it this one to 0, we're going to see the attribute. But this is not what I want. So I'm going to change this one to color burn. So when I do that, and if I Control Shift click this one, this is what we have got. And if I increase the factor like this to 1, so as you can see, now we have more detail. So if I make this one to 0 and make this to 1, we have some kind of detail. And in order to create detail more, what I'm going to do is add a color ramp and place this one right about here. So when I do that, and if I, move this slider so that I can create more, more detail like this, I can play with this one like this, as you can see. And you can just, paint it like this. So guys, this is what I have got so far. As you can see, just, play with it until you find something that, that really satisfied you. So if I Control Shift click this one to see what I have got, this is the result. And then after this, I'm going to give this paint, the weather paint, some kind of bump. So to do that, press Shift E and then add a bump like this. And then I'm going to plug this one to the height, and I'm going to plug this one to the normal like this. When I do that, as you can see, I have some kind of, the paint is lifted upward and the wood is lifted downward. So in order to see things even more clearly, we need to see this in cycles, since we are going to render this one in cycles. So just this one is already in cycles, so I'm just going to change this one to cycles like this. But the lighting is not correct. So to fix that, we're going to use a free add-on called Easy HDRI, which you'll find the link in the description below. Just install that add-on and you'll find it somewhere around here. So just click this fix world nodes in your case, or create world nodes. And I'm going to select the HDRI which I'm going to use. For this case, I'm going to use this one. So this is the result. As you can see, you can decrease the amount of this bump like this. Just maybe 0.005 will be good. And also one last thing I like to do is the scale. I need to increase or decrease the scale. So I'm just going to make the scale to 5. I think I think the paint is looking more realistic. Maybe increase the distance. Maybe if I make this to 1. Yeah, I think this is good. I think this one is more better. Maybe make this to 4.5 or something. Yeah, I think 5 is good for this scene. And the next thing that I'm going to show you is how you can texture the metal. So the first metal is this one, and also this support metal, the bolts. So let us start with this one, and you can use the same process for the other metals. So select it and go to this EPBR again, and I'm going to change this one to metal. So just find the metal and click it, and then after you have done that, you have different options. But for this case, I have already downloaded this metal 010. Just select this metal 010 and download it. And then I'm going to hit plus, and I've already downloaded this 4K JPEG, and then hit plus again. So this is the material that has been applied, as you can see. In your case, if you want to UV unwrap this one correctly, what you can do is, let me go to the solid preview. And then if I hit tab to get inside of the edit mode, as you can see, I have added some kind of UV seams. So just alt click right about here, and then right click and select this mark seam, and then again go to the middle right about here, alt click, and then right click and then mark seam again, and also at the bottom just click this one, right click and then mark seam. Then after you have done that, just click and then U, and then select this unwrap, not smart UV project, just unwrap. When you have done that, you have a proper UV map. I'm not going to dive deep into UV unwrapping, just make sure that you have done the same process. And then if I go to this render view to see clearly, so this is what you will get after you have done the process. You can also adjust the scale by using the same process. Just add a value node in, maybe use 2, maybe I think 1 is going to be good for this case. And you can decrease the displacement, maybe 0.005 will be good. So if the displacement is too much for you, and I'm going to disable this normal, I'm not going to need it, and maybe use this 1.05. I think 0.05 is going to be good. So by using this method, just select this one. You can also drag and drop it like this, and for this case, maybe if it's too much, select this one, go to this material properties, you can click this one so that it will be a different material. And if you don't change this one, whatever effect that you have done right about here is going to be applied here. We're not going to need that. Since I need to manage this material separately, what I'm going to do is just, decrease the displacement. Maybe just I'm going to make it as 0. I think that's going to be good. And for this one, you can just use a simple metallic like this. Maybe decrease the value like this. So the next process is going to be duplicating the steps that I have shown you right here to the rest of the woods. So just do that. So guys, this is the result that we have got so far. I think it's looking really great. So the next process is going to be adjusting the materials of the objects that we have imported from 3D Warehouse. So let's start with this phone. So click this phone. When I do that, I will see different materials. So in order to adjust the glass, what you can do is just hit tab to get inside of the edit mode, and you can select one of the planes. And then after this, if you go to this shader editor, you'll see something like this. So I'm not going to need this one. So just select this one and then press X to delete it. And then I'm going to press Shift A and then type glass BSDF. Since this is going to be a glass, I'm going to use this one. And then just plug this one on the surface. If I disable this show overlays so that I can see it clearly, we are going to have something like this. So I want this to be more reflective, and I want this to be more black. So to do that, let me decrease the value like this. Just decrease the value like this. And also you can increase the IR so that it will be more reflective. I think this is going to be good. And then after this, I need to add some kind of, imperfection. To do that, I'm going to use a fingerprint. So let's go to this easy PBR again. You can type, fingerprint right here. And you will find, if I go to this online, you'll find fingerprints. So I'm going to use this one, which is fingerprint 001. And then click this download and select the resolution that you want. For this case, I have used 4K JPEG. And then after you have downloaded that, what you can do is just hit plus. For this case, you're not going to select material since we're not going to need the material. We need only the node group. And then select this resolution. And then after that, click OK. When I do that, I will have this node group right about here. So select it and then press G to move it right about here. And I'm going to plug the roughness to the roughness right here. When I do that, as you can see, I have some kind of fingerprint. I think this is looking good. But in your case, you might not see the fingerprints. The reason for that is if I select this show overlay so that I can see everything, just click A and then select U and select this Q projection. If you do that, you'll see the fingerprint correctly. And then after this, what you can do is just Control T to add a mapping node. If this is not working for you, what you need to do is go to Edit and then Preferences. And in the add-ons, just type Node Wrangler. Make sure that this add-on is installed correctly. And then after this, I'm going to select this one and then click X to delete it. And then I'm going to plug this one to this one like this. By using this, as I have shown you earlier, I can control the scale like this. And also I can add a value node so that I can control everything at once. And maybe 1, you can make this one to 0.8 in order to make it bigger. So you can just use anything that's suitable for you. And also we can control the intensity of this fingerprint. To do that, we are going to use a hue saturation node. So just press Shift A and then add a hue saturation node. And then place this one right about here. If I decrease the value, as you can see, it's going to be more reflective. And then if I increase the value, it's going to be more rough. And we're going to see the fingerprint even more. So just decrease the value, something like this. Maybe 0.75 is going to be good. And then after this, let me click this show overlay so that I can see everything clearly. And then I'm going to select one of the faces. Make sure that you are on face selection mode. And then you have the material right here. For this case, we are going to make this one to metallic like this. Let me disable this one. And you can decrease the roughness like this. You can also increase the value, decrease the value. I think this is accurate. Maybe increase it. I think this is good. And then after this, I'm going to select this one. You can also enable this show overlay so that you can see what you have selected. And then for this case, as you can see, this is black. I can make it even more black. I can increase the metallic value like this so that it will be more black. This is the method that I use sometimes. Yeah, I think this is good. And also I can select this one. And also I can make it even more black. And I can make it reflective like this. And select this one. I think this material and this one is similar, so I can, so just let me make this one even more black. I think something like this will be good. And then also what I can do is I can select this one, click this one and then X, and then I'm going to add a glass node and then place this one like this. And I can increase the IOR value so that it will be more reflective. And I can make this one a little bit more dark. I think this is going to be good. Maybe increase the IOR. Yeah, I think something like this will be good. And for this one, I'm going to make this one like this so that it won't be visible. I think the phone is looking really great. And then next, let us adjust the eyeglass. Select it, enable this show overlay so that we can see things clearly. Hit tab to get inside of the edit mode and select the glass. You can see the material setup like this. What I'm going to do is delete this image texture since I'm not going to need this one. And also I'm not going to need this one either. So just delete everything except this material output. For this glass, I'm going to use a different setup, which is going to be a combination of glossy and transparent. So just press Shift A and then add a glossy base div and place this one right here. And then press Shift A again and then add a transparent base div like this. And then I'm going to mix both of them by using a mix shader. So just add a mix shader and then place this one on the second, the glossy on the first, and I'm going to plug this one like this. And I'm going to disable the show overlay so that I can see things more clearly. So this is what we have got so far. So let's just decrease the roughness since I want this to be 100% reflective. And then after this, I can make this to 1. When I do that, we are going to see the second value, which is the transparent. As you can see, everything is transparent. If I make this to 0, we are going to see the first one, which is going to be the glossy base div. So I'm going to use a value somewhere in between. I think something like this is going to be good. And I'm going to change the color of this glossy. So I'm going to make this one even more black. I think something like this will be good. And also I'm going to give it some kind of color. I think something like this is going to be really good. And then after this, what I can do is go outside of the edit mode and also drag the material to the side of the eyeglass. I think this is looking really great. Hit tab again to get inside of the edit mode. Enable this show overlay so that we can see things clearly. Make sure that you're on face selection mode and then select one of the other materials. I have selected this one. So this is the material setup. What you can do is I'm going to make this one to metallic. Disable this show overlay so that we can see what we're working on. And then I'm going to make this one to black. And then let us decrease the roughness so that it will be even more reflective. I think this is looking really great. Maybe decrease it like this. And then I'm going to select this one. Select this image. And I'm going to make this one to white by decreasing the saturation. I can make this to metallic and I can decrease the value like this. Even make this one a little bit to be reflective like this. And then again, I'm going to select this one and I'm going to delete the image texture. And then, decrease the saturation to 0. And then make this one to metallic like this. And I can, decrease the roughness so that it will be even more reflective. And also decrease the value. I think something like this is going to be good. And then for this one, you can select this one. I have adjusted a glass with a roughness of 0.5. I think this is looking really great. And then again, let us adjust the book. So get outside of the edit mode like this, select the book. This is what we get. I have decreased the roughness to be 0.253. And also I can, adjust the diffuse. So to do that, I'm going to add a hue saturation. I can decrease the saturation like this, decrease the value or increase the value. That's your choice. And also I can add an RGB curve so that I can manipulate the colors even more. Use something like this. And then after this, let us adjust the texture of this back. So select the back, hit tab to get inside of the edit mode, and then enable this show overlay so that we can see what we have selected. I'm going to select this, the blue one. This is the material setup that we have imported from 3D Warehouse. So I'm going to move this one right about here. And then I'm going to add a hue saturation node like this. And then I'm going to decrease the value. I think something like this is going to be good. And then again, I'm going to decrease the value. And then I'm going to decrease the saturation, something like this. I'm going to keep the hue as it is. And then after this, let us give it some kind of bump. To do that, press Shift A and then add a bump node like this. And then plug the color towards this height. And then plug the normal to the normal. After we have done that, we have some kind of bump. But this is too much, so I'm going to decrease the distance. So maybe use 0.01. I think 0.01 is going to be good. And also for the white part, select this white part. This is the material setup. You can increase the roughness so that it won't be reflective. And then I'm going to add a bump node also for this one. And then I'm going to place the color towards the height. And then place the normal towards the normal. And then I'm going to decrease the distance to 0.005. I think something like this is going to be good. And if I select this person, this is the material setup. As you can see, I have used an RGB curve and make the curve something like this. And then mix it with a black value like this. And then add a hue saturation node and make the saturation to be 0. And also for the bump, I have used a distance of 0.01. I think it's pretty simple. And also I have increased the roughness to 1. So guys, we have already finished the texturing. The next process is going to be the lighting. Since we have already added an HDRI, we're going to have some kind of fixing for it. So the first thing is going to be for the rotation. For this case, I have found a degree of 180 degrees to be good. As you can see, when I do that, I can see some kind of cracks on the ground. And then after that, I have decreased the saturation to be 0, something like this. And then if I go to this wallet properties, and then if I increase the scale like this so that I can make the ground even closer, I have found a value of 1.39 to be good for this scene. And then after that, go to this render properties. And then if you go to this color management, and then if you enable this curve, I have made this one a little bit darker. I think this is going to look even more better. And then after this, I'm going to press Ctrl B and then create a region for my camera. I think something like this is going to be good. And then after this, I'm going to add some kind of shadow catcher. So to do that, I'm going to shift right click right about here, which is going to be the ground. And then press Shift A and then add a plane like this. And then after this, go to this object data properties, and in the visibility, make sure that you have enabled this shadow catcher. And then when I do that, as you can see, it's going to catch only the shadows. And in the ray visibility, just make sure that you have disabled this glossy so that it won't affect the glossy. And then if I go to my camera view, as you can see, we have some kind of shadow. And then after this, I'm going to add some kind of light so that I can enhance the focus of my image, which is right about here. So to do that, shift right click right here, and then I'm going to add a light. I'm going to add a light like this, and then press GZ and move it upward like this. And I'm going to change this one to disk, and I'm going to make the size to 1.15, and then change the power to 100. And then after I have done that, go outside of the camera view, and then press G and then Shift C, and then move it along the X and the Y axis like this. After I have done that, I'm going to add a constraint and add a constraint of track 2. And I'm going to select this eyedropper, and I'm going to select this this book like this. When I do that, as you can see, the light is going to look at the book. So whenever I change the placement of the book, the light is going to track the book. So this is what I want. And then after this, I'm going to go to this object data properties, and then I'm going to disable this diffuse since I want this light only to affect the reflections. So I'm just going to place the light until I find a suitable placement. And also one thing that I have done is if I select this one, I have disabled the glossy of this one, and also have disabled the shadow. If I enable both of them, as you can see, it's going to be even more dark. So I don't want that. So I'm going to disable this glossy and the shadow. It may not be the correct way to do things, but it has given me a better result. So after this, let us add some kind of atmosphere. So to do that, press Shift A and then add a cube like this. I'm going to press S to scale it, as you can see. And then I'm going to go to object like this and then press new. I'm going to delete this principled base diff and then add a principled volume. And then I'm going to plug the volume towards the volume like this. As you can see, we can see some kind of fog. And then I'm going to decrease the density to be 0.03, and then change the anisotropy to 0.5. And for the color, keep the value as 0.5. Maybe give it a saturation like this, and give it a hue. I think something like this is going to be good. You can adjust this until you find something that's good for you. So the last process that I did was adding some kind of post-production notes. To do that, let's go to this composer. As you can see, this is the node setup that I have created. Let me show you what I have done. The first one is the color balance with a correction form of lift, gamma, and gain. And the second one is also a color balance with a correction form of offset, power, and slope. And also I have added some kind of sharpening, as you can see. And for the gain, I have used a value of 1.301, and for the gamma, something like this. And then for the power, as you can see, you can copy this one. And for the slope, I have used a value of 1.092. I won't dive deep on this settings. Just make sure that you have duplicated this one if you want to achieve the same result. So finally, what you can do is just tweak the values of everything, you know, this fog, the lighting, the HDRI, until you find something that you are satisfied with. That's what I'm going to do. So guys, this is the final result. It's looking really great. So the last step is going to be adding a depth of field. To do that, let me select this camera, go to this properties, and then activate this depth of field. And for the focal object, I'm going to use an empty. So to do that, shift right click right about here, and then add an empty like this. If you're not seeing anything, the reason for that is make sure that you have hidden this fog. And then after you have done that, you can see everything more clearly. And then just press S to scale it like this. Then press GZ. Just move it around here so that we can see it clearly. And then select this camera. And then click this object picker, and then I'm going to select this empty. When I do that, as you can see, the focus is going to be wherever this plane axis is going to be. So I'm going to move this one right about here. And if you have seen the f-stop, I have used a value of 15. This is going to be good for this specific scene. You can just manipulate it as you want. And then after this, let's adjust the render properties. So in the render, make sure that you have used a sample of 128, since you're not going to need anything more than that. And then in the denoise, activate this use GPU so that the denoising process is going to be faster. And then after this, let's go to this object properties, and I have used a percentage of 300 so that the result will have a higher resolution. And then after this, I'm going to add some kind of shadow right about here. So to do that, let me select this bag and then press Alt D, and then duplicate it right about here, and then press RZ like this, and then I'm going to scale it like this. And in the object data properties, I'm going to disable everything except the shadow like this, and then press 0 to get inside of the camera view. And then I'm going to move this one like this. Maybe enable the diffuse and then the glossy. Yeah, I think something like this is going to be good, just to add some kind of shadow. Yeah, I think something like this is going to be good. So after you have done that, you have already finished everything. Just go to this render and select this render image, and you'll have your image. So guys, this is all for today. I hope you have learned from this tutorial, and if you're interested, you can buy this project file, or you can become a patron. That's a great way to support me. So that's all for today. See you in the next tutorial.